Hello everyone, and welcome to another Queen Cream analysis video. Just Evan here today. We are looking at the recently released Resident Evil 9 Requiem trailer. It just dropped a few days ago, announced at Summer Games Fest in a very clever way. For those who don't know, they did a little bit of a bait and switch. In the middle of the presentation, showed us a Lady D Marilyn Monroe inspired happy birthday song to celebrate Resident Evil's 30th anniversary, and then they said that Resident Evil 9 is in development and would be announced when the time is right. So kind of lame to get an announcement for Resident Evil 9, which is very highly anticipated. But then at the end of the presentation, they rolled one last trailer. Jeff Keighley was very happy.
All right, well, we're almost done here, but we do have one final, very special global game announcement to share with all of you who've been waiting. Today, we've showcased a lot of projects from teams around the world, including many brand new studios, and we're proud of that. But this one comes from a studio that is no stranger to delivering blockbuster games time and again. When I first got a glimpse at this project last summer, I was absolutely blown away by the scale, scope, and ambition of this developer's vision. And while there are many places, really any place, this game could have been revealed, we are so deeply honored that we get to share it with the world right here at Summer Game Fest.
To show off this last reveal, and with no context, this trailer was shown. We're going to look into it today. Before we do that, I want to give some background on who I am as a Resident Evil fan. I've been playing Resident Evil since I was 8 years old, so I think that's 2009. I found Resident Evil and just instantly fell in love. It's a whole origin story that I will tell in another Resident Evil analysis video, but for now, let's focus on Resident Evil 9 Requiem and just know I am a super fan that is very excited, and that is why I've chosen to cover Resident Evil 9 news. Gotta get in while the iron is hot, baby. So I think the best way to start off is let's just watch the trailer, have a reaction to it, even though I've seen it dozens of times, and then we'll get into the play-by-play. Okay, so FBI headquarters, very different. Not Louisiana Bayou, not some European village. This is a different approach. The way that it almost felt like that was Lance Reddick as Wesker. That'd be a mess. Is that Ethan? It fully looks like Ethan to me. Like, you would not even know that this is Resident Evil. Except that hair, that is RE Engine hair.
Grace.
Grace.
Grace. Grace Ashcroft.
Ashcroft? As in Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil Outbreak fame?
Coming.
Outbreak 1 and 2. Girl, you a mess. Pull it together.
If this is about the report you asked
What, in
for
the Ingrid
yesterday,
Hunnigan?
it'll be
I wonder
ready
if they
in
know
3.
each other. I wonder if she'll be in the
No,
game.
2 days tops.
Put a hold on that for now. We found another body. One that exhibits the same pathology as the others we've been investigating.
Pathology, you say?
Now, I need a good technical analyst on this.
Technical analyst. Okay, so that's what our Grace girl is. She technically analyzes
I need
things.
your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel.
Renwood Hotel. Yo, what in the Silent Hill?
I know that's where your mother was murdered.
Alyssa! Whoa!
Alyssa died 8 years ago.
Yup.
Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
Canonize that Outbreak, baby! Outbreak 1 and 2. Well, mostly 1. But both were fun. Outbreak slapped. Okay, Resident Evil I. Ooh, this is giving Revelations 2 with Claire and Moira at the island. A little bit. Alex Wesker confirmed for RE9. Joking. Now this is Resident Evil. Missing posters. Uh-oh. What in the heavy rain?
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
Oh. Yo, I know that crater anywhere.
Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
We need to keep our
I
voices
recognize that
Seen the
giant
same
hole
shit
in
I've
the earth.
seen.
Please know that you are my hope.
I cannot believe we're going back to the RPD. I would have never guessed we were going back to Raccoon City. From her or from here? Yo! Whoa! What in the Raincoat Killer? Deadly Premonition! Wow! What a reveal! Truly amazing. Okay, so let's get into the actual analysis and kind of frame by frame and the nitty gritty of it all. Starting off at the FBI headquarters is sort of an insane move for Resident Evil, right? This is not something we've seen a lot. It's very different from Ethan and where the stories of Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 went. Now, right here, I want to talk about this man that's laying down. I swear this is Ethan. It even kind of looks like Louisiana and like the backward bayou of it all. Face down on the ground. I swear we saw a shot just like that of Ethan in either Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil 8 or even possibly both. And we see this guy's face all muddy and beat up and stuff, and we never saw Ethan's face. That was like his whole thing, is that he hid it. So I very well believe this could be Ethan. There's a chance that it's not, and it's something totally new and unrelated to the events of any previous Resident Evils, including Ethan Winter's story. But I just think it's worth noting that this is very familiar imagery, and I swear we've seen this before with Ethan. I also want to mention before moving on from this report, according to the summary of incident report down here at the bottom, it says a deceased individual was discovered at an abandoned government office. Preliminary analysis suggests the deceased may be linked to a series of ... And just kind of continuing my theory that this could be Ethan or this is related to Ethan Winters from 7 and 8. I just think that's kind of funny because those games and him as a character was vaguely related to a series of Resident Evil games. So, and with the cheekiness of how they revealed this at Summer Games Fest kind of at the end, to sort of a bait and switch, it's linked to a series. Nobody knew that this was a Resident Evil game until, the Resident Evil kicked in of this trailer. So I just think that's kind of clever and worth mentioning. Probably not intentional and definitely reading into it a little too much. But hey, that's what we're here to do. You clicked on a video analyzing the trailer. It's that RE Engine hair, man, I swear. Just trying to see if I can see anything juicy in her glasses here in the reflection, but I don't see anything of note. But this character looks very similar to Rose, so it appears. A lot of people thought it was Rose Winters, but it is not. Grace Ashcroft, as confirmed by the FBI head director.
Grace Ashcroft.
Immediately locked in. As soon as he said Grace Ashcroft, my ears perked up because I was thinking of Alyssa Ashcroft.
If this is about the report yesterday, it'll be ready in 3. No, 2 days, tops.
Put a hold on that for now.
Even in this short trailer, this trailer is only 3 minutes long, I feel like this character already has shown so much personality. I've already kind of gathered that she's like a little nervous, quite ambitious, wants to deliver the project, be on time. You sense a little bit of her personality here. And that makes for a good Resident Evil protagonist because she's not cardboard nothing like Ethan, but instead we're seeing that she's kind of nervous, maybe hasn't really gone out in the field too much. She's a technical analyst. She's filing paperwork. She's reviewing details. She's using that mind power, but now she's forced to go out into the field, and we already have a sense of her character and how she's going to mold. I have a feeling that this protagonist is going to be a good one because we're going to watch her go through a journey, and she's going to come out the end a badass like all the other Resident Evil characters.
We found another body. One that exhibits the same pathology as the others we've been investigating. Now, I need a good technical analyst on this.
It's interesting that he says pathology, because that makes me wonder what is going to link like, what are we even dealing with? Because it looks like there's some zombies in the trailer, but it looks like there's other things. And, the last Resident Evil game, we had werewolves, lycans, all sorts of different Romanian lore creatures, mythic creatures sort of thing. And then in Resident Evil 7, we had the mold, which notoriously did not have that much enemy variety. So I am excited to go back to zombies. If we're going back to Raccoon City, it only makes sense that we do it right with what the franchise started with.
I need your eyes on the crime scene.
It looks like here our FBI director's name is Nathan Dempsey. Senior Agent in Charge. I don't know. That's such a funny title. I feel like it would say something a little bit more professional than that, but Senior Agent in Charge is kind of funny, gotta say.
The Renwood Hotel.
The Renwood Hotel. So if we get a look at this image here, this is giving very Silent Hill, almost like flashback, premonition. It's I'm thinking that this is clearly in Raccoon City. There's not much to gain from this image. There's clearly a crime scene. You see the numbers on the ground, a little bit of caution tape, some chairs in the background, and it looks like a abandoned, run-down hotel. That's kind of like the bar area. You see the bar stool that is sort of tipped over. It's tough to gather any telling details from this, but if we are going to be walking around a hotel, that is extremely Spencer Mansion coded and makes for a great setting for a Resident Evil game, and I think we're so back!
I know. That's where your mother was murdered.
Alyssa Ashcroft in the flesh. She was the journalist from Resident Evil Outbreak. Let's talk about her for a second. So we know that she was a successful journalist. She specialized in lockpicking during Outbreak, so that was kind of cool that you could use her as the lockpick character, open up different tools, a little Jill Valentine coded. I also just want to quickly mention that she has a red dress outfit that is very Anagram Deadly Premonition coded. I can't resist a reference to Deadly Premonition on this channel. She also had a karate outfit, implying that she was trained in martial arts, which could also mean by extension that her daughter Grace is a fighter too. I wonder if hand-to-hand combat will be a thing, sort of like how Resident Evil 4 has those action moves you can do. And Resident Evil 5 had them too. Not so much QTEs, but just sort of melee moves that you can pull off. There are also hints during the Outbreak game that there are hints that a doctor did something to Alyssa's brain that made her suppress memories. So we may be seeing the past is about to break out and destroy you.
The past will come back to bite you in the ass. Whatever you think you know about the past, forget it. The past is not at rest. Any sins you think were committed in the past are about to break out and destroy you.
This is giving super trilogy, and I'll get more into that in a second. So, of course, she also wrote an article that you can find in Resident Evil 7. Ethan Winters stumbles across an article written by Alyssa Ashcroft in 2016 that reads, "Over 20 missing in 2 years. Captain Howells from State Police told reporters that they have started a search for Helen Midkiff, a college student from North Carolina who was traveling in Louisiana. Miss Midkiff hasn't been heard of since the night of the 21st. Reports of missing persons in South Louisiana have increased dramatically in the past 2 years. The majority of those missing are tourists and vagrants. At least 20 people are thought to have gone missing so far. Police suspect foul play and believe there may be a connection between the incidents. Plans are in place to step up local interrogations and increase personnel to further the investigations." The last we know of Alyssa is that she was in Louisiana, so that already opens the door to a possible connection to Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 with Ethan Winters and the Bakers. We don't know, but I think a lot is about to be revealed, and I certainly think that this game in particular is gearing up to be sort of like a grand finale of sorts, a grand boom of the Resident Evil franchise, tying everything back together. I wouldn't be surprised if we see hints from every previous game. Now we see this hooded figure, it might not be a man. We see this hooded figure throughout the trailer in a couple different instances. It's definitely giving antagonist, of course, but I just am very fascinated by this design. It's very Raincoat Killer, of course, but it is different from what we've seen. It almost kind of gives Ruvik, was that his name, from The Evil Within? A little bit of Evil Within vibes going on here, but also if we look at this character's mouth, it's clear that there's like some infection going on. It almost looks like it's sewed shut, maybe, or was sewn shut. There's some sort of like inflammation around the lips. It just looks like this person is infected with something, and I have a feeling that's going to be whatever letter virus this Resident Evil game chooses to throw at us.
Alyssa died 8 years ago.
8 years ago, we lost Alyssa, however may be. We're not exactly sure when Resident Evil 9 is going to take place, but based off the article found in 2016, 8 years later would be 2024. So it is possible that the game takes place in 2024. I just wanted to point out here, I wanted to add that this quick little alley shot, not sure where it is, it's probably in Raccoon City, as we find out shortly in this trailer, but this gives me Resident Evil 5 so hard, like the vibes of it. It really looks like a shot out of Kijuju and how they framed that game. I don't know, maybe I can find some screenshots here to sell you and convince you, but when I saw this specific shot, I immediately was transported to Resident Evil 5. This hotel bed area here seems right out of Silent Hill, but other than that, I'm not seeing anything too revealing towards this trailer or any surprises. Now, this is an interesting shot because we see these two silhouettes of these figures. They look like two men to me, and this could mean anything. They're staring down at the camera, meaning there's probably someone below them. Are they trying to help them? Hurt them? Maybe they're hovering above Grace. Who these men are, I am not sure. Maybe friendly, maybe foe. The only notable detail I can make out is this strip pattern along one of the man's shirts, which kind of makes it look like a tracksuit, but maybe it's also some kind of uniform. And in some case, it almost looks like a coat as well. So it's very hard to make out what's happening here. This shot was obscured for a reason, I'm willing to bet. Classic Resident Evil Eye. We've seen it a million times before in the movies, the games. It is quintessential Resident Evil. This shot right here is so quintessential Resident Evil for me. I mentioned it briefly in the reaction, but this is the Spencer Mansion. This is the Lost in Nightmares Resident Evil 5 DLC mansion. This is the Baker house. You know, this is such a shot that makes you think, oh yeah, we are going into the survival horror, close corridors, elegant settings, Resident Evil roots. These missing posters here are clearly weathered, aged. A lot of them are torn down. These are some old photos, and we see a brick wall there with a security camera. It looks like a barbed wire. So that is a detail I'm curious. What are they outside of? What building is this? Is this just along the streets of Raccoon City? Are we going to be going flashback into Raccoon City before the outbreak? Maybe we'll have a playable Alyssa segment. I'm not sure. Maybe this is post going back to Raccoon City. And these are missing posters that were put up at the time of Resident Evil 1 and 2, right before the outbreak. Like, these people were going missing in the Arklay Mountains, and reports of noise and suspicious activity in the Spencer Mansion was being reported. Maybe we have actually seen these missing people before, all those years ago, as T-Virus infected BOWs in the Spencer Mansion and RPD alike.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one.
So this man here is speaking about being the chosen one. He's been searching. He kind of gives Heisenberg vibes a little bit, but it's clearly not Heisenberg. I think the choice of him using the name, because in the trailer we hear him say Ms. Ashcroft. He could be referring to Alyssa. He could be referring to Grace. I'm thinking there's a little bit more to this than, ooh, scary villain sort of vibe that they're portraying here. Let's go. This is the shot for me. I saw that big crater, and I knew exactly what was going on, and I was floored. Of course, at the end of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Jill Valentine barely escapes Raccoon City before the U.S. government strikes it with a nuclear missile to eradicate the T-virus and all evidence of Umbrella's involvement. So it has been quite a long time since that happened in 1998 within the Resident Evil timeline. So to revisit this city and see the city with the radiation and the gloom floating above, destroyed buildings in the distance, we are in for an eerie good time. This one is for the Resident Evil fans, the Resident Evil Outbreak fans, the Resident Evil 2 fans, the Resident Evil 3 fans, the original. This is looking more and more like a love letter to the franchise every second.
Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
We need to keep our voices down.
Have you seen the same shit I've seen?
I've seen a lot of theories on all of those quotes we just heard there, because those were clearly all different voices. Now, were those characters we've known and seen before? Claire, Leon, Chris, Jill, Ada, maybe. It's possible. I mean, are we really gonna go back to Raccoon City, the Resident Evil staple, iconic location, the Raccoon City Police Department, and not bring back the Raccoon City survivors? I think that would be an insane choice. And this is only the reveal trailer. I think we're in for a shock and the legacy characters in a real passing of the torch moment.
Please know that you are my hope.
Everyone's gone.
Wow, what a truly adrenaline pumping shot to see this, because I, as a Resident Evil fan, I have never considered the fact that we would go back to Raccoon City. I thought it was done, dead, over with. I never considered that we would one day return to the ground zero ruins of Resident Evil and re-enter the Raccoon City Police Department yet again. It's also insane that there's an entire remake timeline as well as an original timeline, and fans of the franchise can play either one or both. There's people whose entire knowledge of the franchise is Resident Evil original remake, possibly the 2001 remake that has been ported to modern consoles. Then they play Resident Evil 2 from 2019, Resident Evil 3 from 2020, and of course Resident Evil 4 remake that just came out a couple years ago. And then they can play Resident Evil 5 if they want in the Resident Evil 6, and then of course Resident Evil 7 and 8 are modern games in the RE engine. So it's pretty crazy that we're back in this scenario, and there's so many people with different interpretations of the police station and the original Resident Evil storyline. This is going to be like a convergence of timelines for old fans and new fans. It's going to be a beautiful spectacle. I'm calling it. Stay away from that! Another person dying and bleeding out in the RPD. It's giving Ben from Resident Evil 2. But it's interesting that he says, stay away from here, and then kind of coughs. Is he saying stay away from here? Or is he saying stay away from her? A very interesting semantic choice from this character's dying breath. So clearly we get this amazing shot of this nightmarish creature coming down from the ceiling. It's got a lot of inspiration from Silent Hill, of course. It has a lot of inspiration from the baby creature from Resident Evil Village. I also see shackles around its wrists, so maybe this thing broke out of some sort of holding prison cell. Could it be a stalker enemy? Maybe. Could it just be a boss or a regular enemy type that we'll encounter throughout the story? I don't know, but I am very excited because this thing is extremely creepy. Let's look beyond this nightmare creature for a moment and jitter into the background here. This looks to me like some sort of statue or bust or something that just screams early Resident Evil. I'm willing to bet and make a hard prediction that this thing in the background is some sort of statue that the player will have to interact with and part of a puzzle. And I'm excited to see what kind of puzzles they bring into this ninth Resident Evil game, because puzzles have always been a franchise staple. Sometimes they're better than others, and I'm excited to see what Resident Evil 9 brings to the table. And if that statue in the background is anything to go off of, I'm excited. I am somewhat willing to bet that this hooded figure is maybe a Resident Evil character, and if we're calling early predictions, could this be none other than someone we have not heard from since Resident Evil 0, Billy Cohen? It's possible. We don't know what happened to him. Is he lingering around Raccoon City, offing government officials or whoever, FBI agents, whoever this man is that's getting suffocated? He's in a suit, so who knows? He could be anybody. But perhaps we have seen the face of this hooded figure before. Usually if we're doing the identity concealment thing, it's for a reason. So I'm willing to bet that this character is somebody we've seen in the franchise before, and my mind would immediately go to Billy as the best culprit. But who knows? Who knows? And we've seen them do this kind of thing before with Jill Valentine in Resident Evil 5. Now in this shot here, it looks like this zombie is actively turning as we're watching. It almost looks like this is the transformation process. Maybe like that last moment right before they turn and start going feral, because his eyes are blackening and he still looks pretty put together in terms of like his human form. It's very early in the transition into whatever BOW he's turning into. Now this shot here, I almost wonder, is some sort of a flashback. This feels like it's the RPD, but of course, if it is, that would have to mean it was a long time ago. It could also be the FBI headquarters. We saw Alyssa Ashcroft in there. It very well could be, but just something about this point of view, this perspective. It's also, if this is from a character's POV, they're a short character. Could this be maybe Alyssa as a child following, or I'm sorry, Grace Ashcroft as a child following Alyssa through the RPD, the Raccoon City Police Department, before the outbreak? I don't know, but it definitely gives RPD. Let's talk about the definition of Requiem for a second. If you look up the definition of Requiem, it is a mass repose of the souls of the dead in Christianity. It's an act or token of remembrance. And that is exactly what this game is feeling like. We're remembering Resident Evil. We're celebrating the 30th anniversary of this beloved franchise. This is a requiem for Raccoon City, and therefore its survivors and its stories. I think this is going to be one of the most impactful Resident Evil games, narratively, that we've seen in a long time. I'm almost wondering if they're going to do a Resident Evil Death Island sort of thing where they are reanimating people into zombies for some nefarious purpose. Because it almost looks like the hooded figure was maybe deliberately turning people into zombies, BOWs, whatever you want to call it. This trailer is very short, and we got very small snippets, so of course we are grasping at straws to make these narratives, but we're just calling some early predictions and taking the material we've been given and running with it. I'm starting to think that this game is going to be huge and drop a bombshell, no pun intended, for Raccoon City. The missing persons posters just look aged. This one guy says he has been searching for Miss Ashcroft, could be referring to Alyssa or Grace. And also, we're going back to Raccoon City. This is absolutely feeling like the end, the conclusion of something. I think a lot of our main characters that we love and know are in trouble. I think their stories might come to an end here with Requiem. But that also makes sense because Jill and Chris and Leon and Claire, they're all in their 40s, 50s years old, late 30s maybe at the earliest. So it's kind of hard to continue to put them in these situations and make it a horror game, because by now these characters are not scared. These characters have been dealing with this for decades. They know how to handle BOWs and bioterrorism, whereas our new characters such as Ethan, Grace Ashcroft, fresh new blood. But there's no way we're going back to Raccoon City and not including the core Raccoon City survivors. This game is going to release on February 27th, 2026, a mere 9 months away, just enough time to have a baby, and we will have a new mainline Resident Evil title. This is huge. I'm very excited for this game to drop. What do you think Resident Evil Requiem, aka Resident Evil 9, has in store for us? I want to hear your theories, thoughts, and comments down below in the comments section. Let me know what you are thinking. Are you excited for this game? Are you hesitant? What are your thoughts on Resident Evil 9 Requiem? Make sure to follow my channel, like and subscribe for more Resident Evil news, and just nerdy drag queen content in general is what I'm serving up to you every day on YouTube. If you want to follow my Twitch, that would be awesome too. I stream over there at least 3 times a week, and we have a great time. We just finished Expedition 33, and what a blast that was. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning into my little video here, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.